want to fly? Let's do this. Yeah!
You gotta force it to come out.
What do you... You're a genius.
Well, I know. But what'd I say?
No, no, no,
Wait, what?
Did you know what was gonna happen to my brother when you stuck him with this world-destroying thing?
It's called the Scarab. I had no idea it would activate. It has to choose you.
So how do we get it to unchoose me?
Host acquired.
Who said that?
Systems tracking 3,
Okay,
2.
it's gonna be okay.
Uptown, baby. I was down, but they see I'm up now, baby.
Host overreacting.
Overreacting? You kidnapped me!
When I hit you with that, you know.
Threat approaching. Engaging host protection.
Kick it like it's judo. And when we get in mode, I'ma jog it like I'm Cujo.
Threat eliminated.
Sorry about that!
Are they trying to steal away? Cut it out, cut it
What
out.
do you think the government is gonna do when they figure out that some kid has this military tech?
Bust it down, bust it down.
We are going to change the world with the power of the Scarab. It belongs to me.
Watch out, watch out!
Not the way, but the way don't stop.
Oh, he's pissed.
Listen to me!
Uptown, baby.
You got the wrong guy! I'm a nobody! I swear!
I was down, but they see I'm up now, baby.
The world is a place to protect.
I have an arsenal at my disposal.
Anything, please?
Watch and learn, Jaime.
Whoa.
Whatever you can imagine, I can create.
Yeah, that's more like it.
That love you feel for your family makes you weak.
You're wrong. My family, that's what makes me strong.
Oh, I forgot how bad it looks.
Target the family.
Sorry, my mom.
Jaime?
You are a superhero, cabrón.
Y'all take shots, y'all aim up. Whoa.
You're the Blue Beetle.
I could use that arsenal right about now.
God, you never ask.
Hell yeah.
They been trying to stop the way, but the way don't stop. Bust it down, bust it down.
Nana?
I advise we back away.
Uptown, I was down, but they see I'm up now.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They just dropped a brand new Blue Beetle trailer with a whole bunch of new footage, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here for a bunch of different DC things. James Gunn was also talking about the future of the character inside his new DC studios, like the new DC Chapter 1 as well. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There'll be a bunch of big announcements and a bunch more trailers coming in the next couple weeks because the movie is coming out next month, and James Gunn has basically just been dropping all the details about Superman Legacy recently too. He even just announced what a lot of the new version of the Justice League is going to be, which will be in Superman Legacy. Like a bunch of the new Justice League characters will be in that movie. I'll do a completely separate video about that the next couple of days just because there's so much stuff that he released. Like for instance, Nathan Fillion is now playing Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. That's right, Nathan Fillion, Green Lantern, finally.
So fast, Metallo.
You'll have to do better than that. We should do Darkseid. He's more powerful.
Oh, yeah. Not so fast, Darkseid.
Looks like we got here in the nick of time.
And we got backup.
Let's fly!
Per his announcement, Blue Beetle will be a big part of that, and even though the people that made Blue Beetle say that they want there to be a trilogy of Blue Beetle movies, I don't know that they're going to do Blue Beetle 2. A lot of that just depends on the box office. Now, they didn't spend nearly as much money as they did on the Flash movie, so it doesn't have to make nearly as much as the Flash made. Like, the Flash would have had to have made about $1 billion in order to make it into profit. No way that's going to happen now, but if Blue Beetle does well enough, then they might do the second movie. During the new trailer, you see a bunch more of Carapax and Victoria Cord, played by Susan Sarandon, who are basically the villains of this movie. The Reach is technically the real villain, like the people that actually built the Scarabs. But I think they just barely get into them during this movie. They explain a little bit about where the Scarabs come from, but not completely get into that. There are a lot of other DC Easter eggs and references, like they made the Batman jokes in the first trailer, and there are references to some of the other characters. Like in this, you see Ace Chemical in the background from the Batman comics, you see LexCorp. So there are ties to a lot of the other big Superman, Batman, other huge characters, but they themselves, like Superman, isn't actually in this movie. That's part of the reason why it's able to survive the transition into James Gunn's new DCU. It would have actually gone worse for them if Ben Affleck's Batman and Henry Cavill's Superman actually showed up in this movie. It would have been harder to explain him showing up in the new DC movies. But just starting at the beginning of the trailer, working our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments, the trailer itself is a little out of order. But they start with a funny scene of him trying to activate the Scarab on command, trying to figure out how to actually do it, and he has to threaten his own life. Like, oh, I got it, I'll just try to jump off the building and pretend like I'm going to kill myself. Then the Scarab will automatically activate. And if it wasn't clear, the voice of the Scarab is Becky G, who was part of the Power Rangers back in the day. She also just had a track on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, too. There's a little bit of Power Rangers action going on in this. But part of the idea with the Blue Beetle Scarab is that it was damaged when it fell to Earth, so it doesn't listen to all the commands, like it doesn't obey all the commands that the Reach gives it like the normal Scarabs would. For instance, the Black Beetle Scarab. Sometimes it'll do what Jaime Reyes tells it to do, and sometimes it'll do what it wants to do, like the Scarab has a will of its own. Think of it as like a really beefed up, way more advanced version of Iron Man's AI, Friday or Jarvis. Like, there are a couple lines of dialogue where it sounds like the Scarab actually has its own sense of humor. Like, finally, let's have some fun. This is his love interest, Jenny. She works for Cord Industries and steals the Scarab, giving it to him, inadvertently causing the Scarab to bond with him, not knowing that that was going to happen. There isn't a Jenny from the comics, so I think that she might be an original character they just introduced for the movie. She's also the person that helps them get into Ted Kord's lab later in the movie. George Lopez is playing his uncle. During the movie, his father is dead. They do deal with the death of his father, but it's kind of the same way in the comics, too. There might be a couple flashbacks to explain his father's death, or they'll just talk about it a little bit. This is inside the Cord Industries lab. When she says the Scarab has to choose you, the whole idea is that the Reach conquer different planets by sending a Scarab, pretending like it's a good thing, like a benevolent thing. It'll find a compatible person to bond with, whose consciousness it can then override, and the Reach will give it commands telling it to take over a planet after a certain level of technology has been reached. So the whole idea is that the Blue Beetle Scarab landed on Earth about 1,000 years ago. Eventually Dan Garrett found it, couldn't activate it, couldn't bond with it. Ted Kord also found it, couldn't bond with it. But because Jaime Reyes wound up being compatible with it, that's when the Scarab finally fully activated. When he asked them, how do we get the Scarab to unchoose me, the joke about that is that you do not get it to unchoose you, like he is the Blue Beetle for the rest of his life. Hopefully it will be a long life. All the dialogue that you get from the suit, like host overreacting, please give me commands, tell me what to do, like it asking for permission to do certain things, that's just it trying to exert its will. Under normal circumstances, if the Scarab hadn't been damaged, it wouldn't need to do that. The Scarab would just do what the Reach had programmed it to do. They'll probably use this for some WTF reactions in the movie where he's not able to get the Scarab to activate or do things during critical points. Part of the idea is that it doesn't always do what he asks it to do. This is the Carapax villain without his suit activated at this party. You notice he has a couple different versions of his suit through the film. Like he fights him with a lesser version of his suit. It seems like his suit then bonds with Cord tech that Victoria Cord was messing with that's based on the Scarab. So his suit was already Cord tech derived from the Scarab, but then it bonds with this other Scarab tech, and it winds up evolving into the much crazier looking version of the suit later in the movie. So the movie's kind of using him like a dark version of Jaime Reyes, like he has a suit too, kind of like his, only his isn't nearly as powerful as the Blue Beetle suit. We see more of Victoria Cord, played by Susan Sarandon, along with Harvey Guillen from What We Do in the Shadows, who's playing Dr. Sanchez, who's sort of like a misguided scientist that's not totally evil, and to make a Superman Christopher Reeve reference, this scene of the three of them at this Arctic base feels very much out of the Superman Christopher Reeve movies. He'd be like a much smarter version of Otis in this equation. Someone who isn't totally bad, but has been doing whatever the villain, Victoria Cord in this case, has been telling him to do up to a certain point, so maybe he will wind up helping Jaime Reyes later in the film. But it looks like this Arctic base is where they're experimenting with a lot of Scarab tech. This is probably when they'll start to tease the connection to the Reach. The joke in the trailer, Jaime Reyes is a superhero, whether he wants to be or not, whether he likes it or not, is the idea that the Scarab will override his personality if he's not careful. Like the suit will force him to do what the Reach wants him to do, but the idea with Blue Beetle is that the Blue Beetle Scarab was damaged, so it doesn't always do what the Reach wants it to do. The other big part of the trailer here is that they hype up the rest of his family working with him, like you see George Lopez's uncle flying the Blue Beetle Ted Kord ship. That's also right out of the comics too. To make a DC and a Marvel reference, he's kind of like Ray Palmer, the Atom, who uses a lot of tech to be a superhero, as well as Iron Man in the Marvel movies, who uses a lot of his money and tech to become a superhero. What I'm hoping is that Ted Kord is still alive in the DC universe, and he's just missing. People don't know where he is, so they think that he's dead. The history of his relationship with Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, is a little complicated. They tried to sew that up a little bit, and after a couple of DC reboots, the comics basically brought them both back at the same time. So in the more modern comics, Ted Kord's Blue Beetle winds up being a mentor to him eventually. But one of the other funny things, in tying this back to James Gunn's new DCU, is that Peacemaker also winds up being sort of a mentor to Jaime Reyes' Blue Beetle. There have also been reports that he might come back and cameo in the new Booster Gold series that DC is working on as well too. That'll be part of James Gunn's new DCU. They didn't say when the Booster Gold series will happen, but eventually, the next couple of years. They started to get into those characters during the Smallville era, so you just have to imagine a much better looking version of that. His uncle calls him Blue Beetle for the first time, but the idea is that Ted Kord was a version of the Blue Beetle before that, so was Dan Garrett, so I don't know how they're going to explain the origin of the actual name, the Blue Beetle. Maybe they'll find records of it in Ted Kord's lab, and they'll just start calling him that eventually, like, you're the new Blue Beetle. Then they have the funny scene when they're in Ted Kord's lab with his grandma, Meemaw, just picking up some of Ted Kord's weapons, unleashing on all the guards. Suddenly the movie's testing really high with grandmas. There's a whole bunch of new footage here, so if you spotted any new Easter eggs that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. And once the movie comes out, I think that James Gunn will start talking more about the future of the character, but I think a little bit of that depends on how the movie does financially at the box office. Like, do they do Blue Beetle 2, or does he just show up when they do the Booster Gold series? Either way, the movie does feel like it's going to be a solid, small flick, but it'll be much smaller in scope than, say, like the Flash movie, which was trying to be way bigger, like a mini Justice League movie. They did say there would be a bunch of Blue Beetle specific cameos, but I think they were talking about characters from the Blue Beetle comics, not necessarily like big Justice League crossovers or anything like that. There was a bunch of other big stuff that just released. There was like a brand new Deadpool 3 teaser of Wolverine versus Deadpool and a bunch of videos from the set, so I'll do a video for that in the next day or two. Click here for that new Deadpool 3 video. I'll update the link as soon as I post that, and click here for my full Secret Invasion Episode 4 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.